I dressed slutty to dinner with his grandparents, and I didn't know it would end everything. Hey Reddit guys, I am Jessica, 32 years old. Just some months ago I was living my dream life, and now I am living the worst nightmare of my entire existence. I was married to the man who would be every girl's dream. But he was mine, and I lost him. His name was John, and he was 3 years older than me, so he was 35 years old. We met through common friends. So we were friends before we became lovers. And when we got married, I thought I was marrying my best friend, because I could talk with him about everything and he would never get bored. John made my life better. And also before we were lovers, he helped me to get a job. I was struggling to find one. He knew many people, so he found me a job at the company that was owned by one of his friends. Well, everything was going great. He had his own business, and when we got married, he wanted me to work with him, but I didn't want that. I thought it would be better for both of us if I worked in a different place. Besides, I loved my job, and I didn't want to leave that place. John and I loved each other very much, and I used to think that the most powerful aspect of our relationship was communication. Yes, we had this great communication. I would talk with him about everything. I would tell him everything. He knew everything about me. He knew how my father was an alcoholic, and he died because of that. I had told him every little detail of my life, and he was there for me every time, trying to show me that not all men were like my dad. He would bring me up every time that I was going down. I loved my father, but I could not forget how he came home drunk almost every night. He never did anything for me. My mom worked all alone to raise me and educate me, but I don't want to play the victim here because everyone has its own trauma. I just want to show you how loving and caring my husband was. I used to think that I could never live without him. I could not make it because he was everything I had and everything I wanted. I loved him so much, and I can't believe that I had done what I had done. I'm alone now, crying in the room of my best friend because I destroyed my life, and my husband is not here anymore to lift me up and help me get better. I have hurt him so much that he will never come back to me. I am now thinking about the proposal and our wedding because those days are the greatest days of my life. Have you seen those romantic proposals in the movies? Yes, the proposal that John made for me was like that. He invited me on a date night, and as we were drinking, I noticed a ring in my glass. It was such a beautiful ring. I cried that night, but those tears were happy tears. I was happy, and of course I said yes. I never thought I could lose him. I never thought I would cheat on him of my own will. He was the most important person in my life. Then it came to our wedding. We both wanted a small wedding with our families and our closest friends. It took place in a restaurant near the beach. The place, the flowers, and the music were everything so amazing and beautiful. I never knew that things would change so fast and I would make this kind of mistake. After 2 years of marriage, I cheated on my husband. Yes, guys, I did it, and that is why I am here, seeking support and peace among strangers because no one is here for me anymore, besides my best friend. I am sure that also here, I will be judged a lot, but I am hoping that there will be some people that will just understand and show me some love. I am just a human being in this big, crazy world, and I know I had made a very bad mistake, but I did it. And from now on, I am being honest with everyone, but mostly with myself. Maybe now I don't deserve love or even support, but this time I need it the most. After 2 years of marriage, I took the wrong turn, but it didn't happen all of a sudden. I and John were going through a rough time. His company was almost going bankrupt, and his emotions, his behavior, changed. He was very stressed and sad. He would get angry just for a word, and he would scream for nothing. I tried to understand him, and I swear I tried to communicate with him, but he always pushed me away from him. I was left without a solution or anything to do about us. But now I think that maybe I didn't try enough, and I should have tried harder. But now it's too late. Now everything is done. Well, while he was trying so hard for his work, he was working all the time, even when he was at home, and I started staying out after work with my friends or colleagues. Going back home for me had turned out to be so stressful. I didn't want to go home because we would fight all the time. I didn't want to give up the life I used to do with him, so when he stopped taking me on dates or doing things with me, that's when I let someone else enter my life and do the things he was not doing anymore. Actually, there's something else I would like to talk about. Sexual relations between me and John. Before the problems that he started to have, we had a very healthy sexual life. And I think it is very important to tell this part of the story, because sex is very essential in a couple's life. I mean, it is why you are a couple in the first place. Well, sex was good. We enjoyed it very much, and we used to do it almost every night. When there would be a day without having sex, we would miss each other very much. And it is what it is. Imagine, after his problems, we would rarely have sex. He came to bed very late because he was working, and when I used to ask him to have dinner together or go out together, he would immediately say no. John used to tell me that I didn't understand him and I was not helping him through this rough time. He even told me that when I needed him, he got me a job, and I had that job just because of him. This thing broke my heart. So yeah, going home became a stressful thing to do. I used to go out more often with my friends, and I started to spend more time out than at home. John always used to criticize me about the way I dressed, and when he knew I was going out even more. To be honest, I really liked extra clothes, extravagant clothes, and he didn't want me to wear them like that. But I never wanted him to tell me what to wear. I have always wanted to be that independent woman who wears what she wants and does what she wants, but it went out of my control this time. You surely want to know now what specifically happened between us. We started growing apart. The distance between us grew bigger day by day, and I didn't do my part. I am now aware I didn't do enough for us. The thing is that a new employee came to my workplace. He was very handsome and masculine. His name was Edie, and he was 36 years old. The most important thing for me was that he was single. I forgot the fact that I was married and I had a husband waiting home for me. Edie was not just handsome. He was a very social and funny person. As soon as he started working there, he won everyone's heart. He used to make us laugh. For my luck or not, he was going to work in the same office with me. At that moment, I was really happy to find out that we would be together all day. I thought it would be fun. I will be honest with you, I was the one who started flirting with him first. I would stay there and glance at him, forgetting I had to work, and I got laid to work and not to stare at him all the time. Since he came in, I started taking care more about myself, and I renovated my wardrobe. I wanted to look beautiful, but not for my husband. I wanted to look good and hot for Edie. I didn't stop for a moment to think that what I was doing was a mistake. I was acting like a teenager, and I didn't know how. Also, since Edie started working with me, all of a sudden we were organizing more things all together with other colleagues. We used to go for drinks very often, and on one of those nights he started flirting back with me. I felt happy. I forgot I was married, and I just wanted to experience that happiness to the fullest. I danced with him a lot that night, feeling his body near mine. What a feeling it was. I could not get enough. I wanted more from him. I wanted to feel him more and more. I could not stop myself, but while dancing I told him, "Can you continue partying at your place?" He looked at me with his amazing and sweet smile and replied, "Of course it's beautiful." He grabbed my hand and led my way to the exit. I was feeling happy but also anxious. Honestly, I felt a mess of emotions that I could not explain. I never thought I would be the one to make the first move towards a man, especially when I was married. I never did that when I was single. But you see, I was doing it while I was married. I could not believe myself, but I didn't stop. We went to his apartment. He had a nice and small apartment. He told it was his apartment. It was a gift from his parents. He grabbed 2 glasses of wine for the 2 of us, and I was sitting on the sofa waiting for him. Edie gave me the glass and asked me to raise a toast for the 2 of us. Once, after the first sip of wine, he came closer to me and started kissing me, and with his hands behind my body, he unbuttoned my extravagant dress. I didn't tell you, but that night I had a fight with John just over that dress. John didn't want me to wear that dress because, according to him, it was too short and showed too many private parts of me. He told me that my breast was completely visible and it wasn't normal for me to go out in that dress. Can you imagine? He also told me only a slut would go out for drinks in a dress like that. Someone who was looking for a man to her. I had never heard John mention his words. I was shocked. But I just told him, "Well, then I am a slut maybe, and I will definitely go out like that." That dress made it easy for Edie to undress me. while with one hand he was taking off my dress, with the other hand he was touching my body. All of it, my back and chest. And I could not wait to feel him inside me, but he was very careful with me. He treated me like a princess, and I wanted him to act more wildly. Instead, he touched and kissed every inch of my body. He undressed me, kissed for a long time, and then he got me in his arms, and he took me to his bedroom. And then it all happened in his bed. After we both finished, I felt like I had missed sex so much. My husband and I didn't do it anymore, well, very rarely. That's why I enjoyed having sex with Edie so much. But I could not stay there longer. I had to go back home because I didn't know what to tell my husband. He would get suspicious. When I went back home, John was still working. He was very concentrated, and he didn't even ask why it went, or if I did have a little fun. So I went directly to our bedroom, I took a shower, and I went to sleep. I was really feeling happy, and I was going to sleep very calmly. The next day, as soon as I woke up, I found the sweetest message in my phone from Edie. "Hey, beautiful, yesterday was like a dream. Can't wait to see you again, and I can't wait for that night to be repeated." That message put a smile on my face on that Saturday morning. When I opened my eyes, I noticed that my husband was not in the bed with me. I got out of bed and went to the kitchen to see if my husband was there, and there he was with his laptop working. He was really working all the time. I asked him if he wanted to do something with me since I would be at home and it was the weekend, but he made it clear that he had to work and he could not afford quitting, so I decided I would go for a walk alone, and I told him that I was going to visit my parents after the walk. But actually, I wanted to meet Edie. I called him and told him about my plans, and he agreed. We were going to meet in a cafe, and then we would see what we would do. We had breakfast and coffee together. Breakfast was my favorite meal, and that day it was all amazing. The weather, the food, and most importantly, Edie. After breakfast, he invited me to his apartment, and again we had sex. It was amazing, and I felt so great. I felt like I could never give up on him. He took me to the sky with that kind of pleasure. I wanted it again and again and again. We did it 3 times that day, and still I could not get enough, but I had to go home. When I turned back home, my husband told me that he called my mother since my phone was turned off, and she said I was not there, so he began to get a little suspicious. I explained to him that I met an old friend by coincidence and I had breakfast with her. That is why I didn't go to my parents' home. I didn't know if he believed me or not, but there I was, lying in a way I never thought I would. Who was I now? I didn't know, but I liked the new life. I didn't think that it was all just a lie. While I was getting close with Edie, the distance between me and John was growing bigger. We lost every bit of communication. He didn't stop working, but I stopped trying to support him. I stopped trying to communicate with him. We became strangers that were living in the same house. Actually, I was not spending much time at home anymore. I would work all day, and then I would go to Edie's apartment or we would go out. But we were spending most of the time together. We actually were all the time together because we worked together, and after work we were still together at his home or some other place. I didn't know if it was love what I was feeling, but I really liked his presence near me. My husband would always fight with me for being away from home, but mostly because of my clothes. John noticed I had renovated my wardrobe and was all the time telling me that I was wearing very extravagant clothes. He said that my clothes were not adequate to go in the office, or he started using the word slutty often. John said that I was wearing very slutty clothes. He was using those ugly words that would make me feel very bad. Anyway, I liked my clothes and I always told him so. I explained to him that I would not change my clothes just because he didn't like it. Since I liked them and I felt comfortable, it was okay for me. Besides, I liked how I looked in these clothes, and also Edie liked my style. He always told me that I looked sexy. I remember one day I had worn a sexy mini skirt and button-down shirt, where my chest could be a little seen, and Edie wanted to do it in our office. I told him no, of course. I wanted to know how it felt to have sex in an office, but I was afraid. What if someone came and saw us? But Edie was very persistent. He came closer and started kissing my neck and touching my breast. I was really feeling horny, and I let him do everything that he wanted. So he did, but guess what? While I was wearing all of my clothes, the door opened and our boss came in. Oh my God, maybe he understood. I was very scared, and of course he understood because My hair was like crazy, and I was buttoning up my shirt. But if you remember, I told you that my husband found this job for me, and my boss was his friend. I hoped he would not say anything. Anyway, he acted like nothing was wrong that day, and I could not wait to go home and see if he told John anything. But nothing had changed, so I thought it would not be a risk, and in the future days, Edie and I did it many times at our office. But I always made sure I would lock the door before. Never thought that my boss had installed a hidden camera in my office because my husband asked him to. Since that first time that we had sex in the office, my boss told my husband everything, and John asked him to install a hidden camera. So he had proof. I would find out about all those things later, but at that time I was just having fun. Edie and I had his apartment to have sex, but we liked the adrenaline that we felt when we did it in the office. So we kept doing it while the hidden camera was registering everything. Our productivity at work also went down and down, because we were doing sex in the office more than working. My boss knew, but he didn't want to fire us until my husband John said so. Little did I know that he had found everything and he was planning revenge. The end would be the night that I would go out with him to meet his grandparents. It was the first time for me meeting them, and to be honest, I didn't really want to go. We were already going through a rough time. But yeah, I went, and I wore a very short dress. My husband, of course, didn't like it and asked me to get changed. But as you may think, I didn't accept to change my clothes. So I dressed slutty to dinner with his grandparents, and I didn't know it would end everything. Because you guys, the time after that dinner would be the end of me. Since then, I have been living in a nightmare. His grandparents were very nice, but they also seemed shocked when they saw my dress. My husband was talking in a very angry way with me, like he hated me, and I could not explain it. His grandparents asked him what was going on between us, and he finally told them he could not take it anymore, that he was sorry that he was destroying the dinner, but I was a crazy slut that cheated on him. I was shocked, as were they. They asked him again what he was saying. Then he told every detail, how my boss found us and how he installed a hidden camera in my office and he found everything out. He looked at me full of hate while telling his grandparents that while he was working so hard for the family we wanted to build, I was cheating on him. Tears started going through my eyes and I got up and I wanted to go away because I felt humiliated. But he said that I had nowhere to go because he had hired someone to prepare my things and he had sent them to my parents' home with some pictures of me and Edie kissing. John continued to tell me that he cared about my parents. That is why he didn't send the whole video. Also he showed me that he had changed the door lock so I could not enter his house anymore. I and his grandparents were shocked, but I was crying. I just told him I was sorry and started walking, but as I was going out, he shouted, "You are also fired, dear. Don't you dare go back to my friend's company, you whore." The nightmare started, and it hasn't ended ever since. I went to my parents' house because all of my things were there, but they didn't let me in, telling me that what I did was a shame, and they could not forgive me. They still haven't forgiven me. I found a little peace at my best friend's home, and I am all alone with no home, no work, and no money. I regret everything that I have done, but now it is too late. I destroyed my own life while I was trying to have fun. Oh, I thought the adrenaline was good. Here is the good. Me with no place to go. I thought it was love. Well, it wasn't. Please, guys, don't be so hard on me because I am already going through a lot. My life is a total disaster. This was my story, guys. Hoping to get a little support from you. Jessica, update. Hello, Reddit guys. It's me again, Jessica. I am here for a small update about my story. I just want to tell everyone that I am not with Edie anymore. We talked a few times after everything happened, but none of us wanted to continue that relationship. So we went our separate ways. My parents still have not forgiven me, and I am still looking for a job. My last boss, the friend of John, had written to everyone who had asked for a bad performance letter. I did some interviews, but when they asked about my performance, they would hear the worst words about my performance. Yeah, John did this. He took his revenge in every aspect, and I will not say that he was wrong. I had hurt him so much, and I regret everything. As you see, my life is still a mess. I am still looking for a job and staying with my best friend. While my parents don't want to forgive me, I am living in a nightmare, but this is the last update, hoping I will get some love and support. I hope I can forgive myself and heal. But for now, everything seems impossible. Stay safe, guys, and never cheat the person you love. Love, Jessica.